well, in that case, it's the relay. It's back to me. I'm filling in, for those of you who came in a bit later, I'm filling in for Mark King, who couldn't be here. And so I quickly put something together. But the great thing is that Mark said that he would be able to come at our next session, because we're going to have several of these good practices in IT in Hong Kong U starting from September. Okay, so I thought what I talk about in my 5 or 6 minutes is some of the basic ideas behind the way that I use technology for teaching and learning. The key that I've been working on for quite a few years now is this idea that I'd like the assessment to drive the learning. So in other words, I ensure that the students know right from the start what kind of assessment there's going to be, like we all do, but then I say, okay, well, let's work on actually completing as much as we can as individuals and as groups during the term as we work our way through various topics and issues that we cover in our sessions. So whatever we're doing in many of our sessions and whatever the students are doing and working in their groups, they're thinking about how useful this material, this resource, this information is to help them complete successfully their assignments. So this table provides that kind of framework. We try to create a kind of a learning community where the student is the centre, and we as the teachers are down on the left-hand column here with some of our ideas in terms of the content syllabus, the learning outcomes, the attributes that we want our students to be able to achieve by the time they finish it, and we try to keep the whole thing very much learner-focused, keeping the students in the middle there, working very much with their peers, and their peers are providing them with formative assessment as we go through the semester. They're getting feedback from me as well, and as much as possible to try to engage them in authentic assignments where they're actually producing something that will be useful for them when they actually complete the course. Being engaged in education, that's kind of like a professional area as well, so it makes it easier for me to do that. It's not necessarily so easy if you're doing, say, quantum physics perhaps, but I don't know anything about quantum physics, maybe you can. Oh dear, yeah, so in this sense, the technology is driving the model. So we're trying to do everything within this. The assessment is driving the learning, and then technology is actually driving the model. And students are uploading stuff into their online environment constantly. Again, there the student is in the centre there. We're linking learning and assessment. The learning is demonstrated through the assessment, which drives through student-to-student interaction, and that in itself is a vehicle for construction and development, which enables the learning outcomes to be achieved by the students. So you can see that kind of holistic model is what I'm trying to use. This kind of framework I try to follow as well, try to provide students as far as possible with authentic tasks, opportunities for collaboration, learner-centered environments, and trying to engage them in the learning environments and provide meaningful assessments for them. So this is an example of one of the assessments that I do, which is a group task where individual students have to be involved within a small group, a set of activities. They have to go off and actually do some examination of some case studies in innovative practices, which was some research conducted by people within this faculty across 26 countries. So they're using the research which is also developed by the academics within the faculty to support their learning as well, which I think is also good practice. And then each group then develops a portfolio of work associated with their case studies, and it needs to include a whole set of events and activities and tasks which the group needs to prove through the online work that they produce. And then the individual assignment, which I haven't shown you here, is then linked to students then taking this a stage further and thinking about developing innovative practices. How do you actually set up innovative practices in their own educational environments? Students work in lots of different media. With this particular course that I was showing you, it's a master's course, and this is one group's portfolio, which they actually develop in Google Docs, which is a very user-friendly environment. And I mean, there's so many of these fabulous Web 2.0 technologies which allow us to engage the students in actually developing really worthwhile projects, really worthwhile things as groups, but keeping me informed. So they're sending, they're forming groups and interacting within their groups, but they're keeping me a member of the group as well, so I can see how they're developing. And then I link all of that into the Moodle, which is, if you like, the skeleton for the whole course. In this particular course, then the students have been engaged in, broken down into groups here, and this is in fact a blog, so each student group actually develops a blog, and that blog is then linked into the Moodle site for us all to see. And here's an example of a couple of pages from one of the groups. This one was called Blogging with 4 IT Guys. One thing I think is quite nice is that, just to show you here, they used this word cloud to identify what they thought was important in evaluating a government report. What did the government report see as important? And then they talked around that. Okay, that's the end of mine. I'm going to now hand over to Daniel.